God, what am I doing? I have spent the last 3 months of my life, 4 actually, compiling and obsessing over FNAF lore. Why? Because I can. And also because MatPat has been absolutely fumbling right now, and I feel like I have to fix it, because I feel like I am capable of, with the power of ADHD, figure out the FNAF lore to some degree at least. I don't have the level of skill that people that figured out that the crying child's name is Evan have. And by that I mean like the weird logbook chart. But I do have the skill of constantly thinking of multiple things at the same time. So I'm gonna use that skill to make, I guess, a FNAF timeline. And right now what I have so far, as in FNAF timeline, anything FNAF timeline confirmed by the security logbook, because it's the first FNAF book that I've ever owned. By the way, I've been obsessed with this franchise ever since I was in 5th grade, so I'm like a veteran at this. I'm a diehard FNAF fan, and this is literally just a passion project. I have nothing else to gain from this. I'm pretty sure MatPat somewhat gets paid by this, but no, this is literally just a hyperfixation, Jesus Christ. Now, I might post a image of what I have written down, maybe in an actual image of the little insane board that I possess right now, or some screenshot of a Google document in which I will transfer this to eventually. But I skimmed through my absolutely messed up version of the FNAF Security Logbook. By the way, I owned this when I was like 10 or 11, so my dumb middle school self took it upon myself to like scribble all over it because I thought it was a genuine workbook. So this has been desecrated, mind you. I am saving up to get another copy. Anyway, from what I figured out, apart from like the general sense that Mike is absolutely sarcastic and that his personality is all over this book, is the following. On this little board that I have before you guys, or maybe in Google Docs form, I don't know. First thing that I figured out was the FNAF logbook references to sister location. Therefore, the Circus Baby's Pizza World must have been opened before this. And this connects to another plot point that I have somewhere. It says, after robotics' existence mention already existed before FNAF 2. I'll explain that later. Which is a direct connection, because Aspen Robotics is referred to as Fazbear Entertainment related, which confirms that Aspen Robotics is a company that branches off of Fazbear Entertainment. So, what I have figured out right now is FNAF logbook seems to confirm that sister location happens before FNAF 1. Why do I say this? Well, on page 34, in which is asking, it says, to write down the therapeutic music, and as we have already identified in, like, generally as a community, Mike in this book writes in red ink, and he writes down casual bongos next to baby. This is a direct reference to sister location as a game, not as a place, as a sister location, as not as Circus Baby's Pizza World, rather the actual events of sister location, which means that this has to happen before FNAF 1. Doesn't mean that Michael gets scooped before FNAF 2. That is mostly an assumption of mine. We'll explain why, though, because it's in a whole section. None of this is organized, by the way. I will, as I said, I will post my plot points as to why later, or right now, matter of fact. But yeah, next thing that I realized, William was already spring locked in sister location, which is something that a lot of people, we assume he would be, which would make a lot of narrative sense. Do I have anything specifically to back it up? Not really, but it's what I call a context clue assumption. There is a good reason why William would be spring locked during sister location, which would make sense as to why there needs to be a technician to take care of all the other animatronics instead of William doing it physically himself. Because again, like, the company is still running, the robots are still being rented out to children's parties, Remnant is still being harvested by William, even though he's like probably dead, but it's a protocol, as I'm trying to explain. It's a protocol which the employees are asked to follow yeah, that's the assumption of William being spring locked during like the actual events of Sister Location. Therefore, if Sister Location, the events of Sister Location, happened before FNAF 1, therefore William must have been spring locked before FNAF 1. And this is backed up by Phone Guy during FNAF 3, saying that the safe rooms are being sealed up with no one being able to access them for any reason before they're actually sealed up. Everybody assumes that they're being sealed up because Henry found William and they're kind of just dying, so that makes a lot of sense. The safe rooms are being sealed up. And I also forgot to add this in my little bulletin points, which I might have already added in the Google Docs if it's already on there. But if Phone Guy is assumed to die during FNAF 1, it would make a lot of sense that William Afton was spring locked before FNAF 1 because Phone Guy was alive while he was being sealed up in that room, I guess. So right now, timeline of events, Sister Location comes before FNAF 1, and William getting spring locked is before FNAF 1 and before Sister Location, which would explain why Michael gets to take an interest in actually becoming Night Guard, but I'm going to get into that later. Probably not. I don't know. But next in the little bulletin thing, the logbook seems to have been made before William gets spring locked because it mentions don't admit any prior employees, which was something set in place because of William's actions during FNAF 2, also known as the missing children's incident, or just in general, him messing with the animatronics. Now, I can prove this existing. Page 54. I'm flipping through the pages right now. It says, during your first week on the job, it can be hard to keep the rules straight, so we've made you this handy checklist. Don't stare at the camera feed for too long, and don't admit any prior employees. There would be no need to write don't admit any prior employees in the logbook for a security guard to know if William was already dead, which would mean that if this book is being used by Mike during FNAF 1, this book was made, I guess, like a little after FNAF 2, but before William being spring locked. So this just confirms the era in which the book itself was made. Same with that After Robotics thing that I mentioned. So in the is it an alphabet soup? I don't remember what it's called. A word search. Oh my god. In the word search in page 58, there is see if you can spot all the Fazbear Entertainment related words in the jumble below. And one of those words is After Robotics. Therefore, we can assume that Henry, yes, he's not necessarily behind the book, but I'd say to rather he has to approve of the things on here, obviously. And there is no way After Robotics would have been listed as Fazbear Entertainment related if it wasn't already approved by Henry. So there has to be a connection between the actual Fazbear Entertainment company and Afton Robotics. I assumed Afton Robotics is like a branching company. The reason why Afton Robotics is listed as a Fazbear Entertainment company is because I assume, and this is again another context clue assumption, or maybe a little bit of a fact-based assumption based off of something I deduced, is that William, as a co-founder of Fazbear Entertainment, he used some of the funding to create his own company, and Henry approved of it because he's like, well, hey, we get better like animatronics, more money for our overall company. Great for William. He's pursuing his passion in robotics, I assume, is what he would be saying narrative-wise. And that would mean Afton Robotics is somewhat actually linked to Fazbear Entertainment rather than just being William making his own company out of the blue, which I would have to figure out how that fits into the overall character narrative, but I'm not going to do that right now because that is something I'm working on right now. So the safe rooms are mentioned. Not only that, but this referring to spring locks. There's a spring lock quiz from page 50 to page 52. Over that, there's a sticky note, like in the actual book, like in the printing of the book, that says, disregard this quiz. In fact, don't mention the spring lock suits to anybody, which also confirms that this book was made before the rooms were sealed, but probably before the spring locks were retired, which kind of puts the spring lock retirement date in a little bit of a questionable place, but I'd have to figure that out. And I will. But I'm not going to confirm anything that I have no idea about. I'm not going to go MatPat Mrs. Afton theory right now but I assume that this is confusing, and I'm not going to do anything about it right now, and I'm not going to try to place where this goes in the timeline. But anyway, that is that. Yeah, the safe room is mentioned. I need to remember where that is. There is a maze. Here it is. Okay, page 84. It says, navigate the maze below to get to the safe room. The safe room would not be mentioned in this book if it wasn't created before the actual safe rooms were sealed. So that's that. As I wrote down here on my notes, confirms the logbook was made before they sealed them. And then another thing that I saw just like off the bat, I'm not going deep into like the side text written by Cassidy, the altered text written by Evan, or just even like Michael interacting with him. Again, I've only glanced at this once. I have not gone in depth with this book. Rather, it's just like a one glance thing, the information I can get from just one read. And the final thing that I wrote down here was exotic butters versus cash basket mention confirms this is post-sister location. So yeah, the thing that really drove it in, the little drawing that Michael does in one of the pages. Here it is, page 92, where it says, you've earned your 1 week bonus, which will be given to you in the form of a delightful gift basket, the cost of which will be taken out of your paycheck. Design the gift basket you would like to receive in the space below. And it is word for word, but not necessarily word for word, but mostly word for word, but what the hand unit tells Michael in Sister Location. And I love that his reaction is to draw a cash basket and an exotic butters basket, what I assume to be, that is. And under the cash basket, he draws an arrow and says, this. And then under this exotic butter basket, he writes, not this. And I love him. I fell in love with his personality in this whole book. I think I really love it because you can see, you can tell a lot about Michael's character in this logbook, especially the little doodles he does on the side. Little headcanon of mine is that he's an art kid because he draws really good. And I know it's probably like a illustrator thing, but I personally think that he's a really good artist. And that just warms my little artist heart. You can see I'm really nerding out about this, Jesus. Fellow Michael simps, unite! You can also tell a lot of things about his character, not only by the doodles, but by what he responds here. There are only certain questions he responds to, or he just writes down notes under, like, certain questions. In the 2 pages about jokes, and, like, writing and scripting jokes for the characters, he writes, not funny, in such a sarcastic way. He does doodle hearts on page 16, where it says, list the 5 people you most want to see at the end of the day. And he just doodles hearts there. He also has a lot of tally marks. I know that is like code or whatever related. I'm not going to get into that now. I'm going to do more of my own research on that later. Also in page 52, well, not 52, it's actually 29, but the numbers changed. Where it says, if you were a child, what prizes do you want to see behind the prize counter? And he just, in the corner, he says, free trip, cash money, water ski, and speedboat. And it's just, one, the doodle is great, and also, like, this sarcasm, like, I know this guy understands that it's, like, if you were a child, like, it specifically says if you were a child, children don't want, like, a free trip, cash money, and a water ski and a speedboat. Some might, I'm not even gonna lie, some might, but, like, if you ask a kid that thing, they're gonna be like, I want a giant Freddy plushie or something, like...
I swear, he thinks he's funny, and I'm here for that.
Another proof of this being post-sister location is where it asks, it's important to have heroes to aspire. It says, list your favorite characters from movies, books, and television who showed bravery in the face of extreme obstacles. Can you relate your current experiences to their heroic journeys? And then he writes nothing until television, and it says, Clara from The Immortal and the Restless, because everything about this place is crazy and no one seems to notice except me. And I personally believe this is also really lore relevant, because it seems that the way he writes about this in FNAF 1, he's still trying to understand what is happening with his family, and I think that's a really good narrative addition. He also, like, crosses out a lot of stuff. Instead of new difficulties, he crosses it out and writes certain death on the next page after that, and I just think that's great. But what really caught me so off guard is in the page after that, he draws a tombstone Because it says, one way to find hope in a seamlessly hopeless situation is to fast forward and try peeking into the future. Let's give it a try. What will your life look like in the next 5 years? And he draws a gravestone, and under that, which is R.I.P. Cassidy writes my name.
And I don't know why this cracks me up, and it makes me feel horrible, but it cracks me up so much.
After that, we reach the Casual Bongos reference page, where he draws the casual bongos.
He's just skilled at drawing bongos. He knows good bongo anatomy.
Next page, he crosses out success and writes survival. A key to survival instead of key to success in your new position. This is one of my favorite things, because I like to think that the reason why he writes this is because he likes to be fit. Under workout suggestions in page 37, he writes, run 5 miles, run even faster, take a self-defense class. And I like to think this is just confirmation of us getting buff Michael. Just buff Michael. I just like to think about that. Anyway, the thing after that page, in page 38, he crosses out security threats and writes animatronic threats. So real. Now, this is the page that everybody gets confused about. Will I talk about it? And my theories about it? Absolutely not, because I don't even know what the hell is going on here either. So, in what I believe to be page 41, well, he's asked in 40, use this page and the next page to sketch and write notes about your recent dreams. Recent dreams. Reflect on the meaning of your dreams. And on the page after that, he draws Nightmare Fredbear. Now, to all of you, and I'm yelling at the wall right now because I'm insane, but to all of you that say Michael is the FNAF 4 protagonist because of this, you are so wrong, because it makes no sense. First of all, Michael, I had to cool down for a little bit because I was shaking. Because it makes me so legitimately mad that people would think that Michael is the FNAF 4 protagonist. Michael cannot be the FNAF 4 protagonist. 1, because of the height of the bed compared to the height of the player. The height. Michael already doesn't fit the height requirements during the FNAF 4 minigames. Because you can see half his torso sticking out of the bed, and he's like, and like his torso is literally like almost the size of Evan's bed, bro. Like, I saw the sprite, and there's no way that correlates to the height. Like, Michael is not it makes no sense for him to be the FNAF 4 protagonist. And not only that, because if he was getting tested on by the sound illusion discs, again, the puppet would have already existed, and Nightmare Marion would have been, like, somewhat canonical. Either way, Michael can... This is my rant. This is the rant that comes off of, like, 1 page of this logbook. And a lot of people are saying that the reason why Michael is the FNAF 4 protagonist is because of this image, and Cassidy asking, do you have dreams? I don't know. No. No, absolutely not. I'm not gonna elaborate further. She says after elaborating for like, what, 10 minutes? Anyway, the next Michael node is one of my favorites. On page 49, in listing 10 habits you'd like to break and chewing gum excessively, I want to write down his change in emotions. He has trauma. Nobody can deny that he has trauma, and I feel like chewing gum excessively could probably be something that derives from his anxiety. And I like that little detail a lot, actually. After that is the spring lock quiz.
Funny little thing that I'm adding right now. I'm looking through this, and after the spring lock quiz, there's like this little thing that says, where do you think the animatronics would like go on vacation? And in Bonnie, keep in mind I was 11 when I wrote this. But in Bonnie's, I wrote London. I always thought Bonnie was British.
After this page, next Michael note recorded on the book is the Fastmore Entertainment PR Disaster logo redesign, which it's just a show of his skills. As an art kid myself, and as somebody who's like really likes to use art as like an outlet of self-expression and whatever, I like to think that like Michael developed really great art skills as like somewhat of a coping mechanism. I'm not like saying this is canon, by the way. I'm just rambling. But I'd like to think that the reason why Michael is really good at art is because he's just depressed. Next Michael note is, I'm ignoring you, Cassidy, shut up. Next Michael note is in page 73. He is asked to think of an arcade game based on the adventures of the animatronics, and he draws what I assume to be himself, laser eyeing Freddy, and on top of that it says power in like very ominous words, like all caps, and it's like stylized letters. God, I love Michael. Like, his personality is so perfect here. Psychic friend Fredbear. On top of, does he still talk to you? After this, the next Mike note. It's not really a note, it's more like a doodle. But in the safe room puzzle in page 84, he just draws them in like white sheets. What I assume to be Chica, Freddy, and Foxy. And on the next page, there are some numbers in red ink. Do I assume them to be Michael? I don't know. Next is, I love this, page 87. Over Bonnie in what I assume to be like some type of like pirate.
Pirate, no, I think it looks like a revolutionary, American Revolution, like, uniform costume, like military uniform, American Revolution. Alexander! I'm going to hell.
You know, just Bonnie wearing like some old 1700s military uniform. On top of that, he just writes, for the glory of pizza. God, I love Michael. We ignore Evan altering some text. Page 92, exotic butters versus cash basket mention. After that, next doodle. God, this is my favorite. This cracked me up because this just kind of proves he's a little sarcastic and a little humorous. He's like, he jokes about his trauma too. Because on page 99, it says, when a pure disaster strikes, it's always good to have a plan. Think of an alternate explanation to these common misunderstandings. First question. My child said Freddy bit him. And Michael writes, he tripped and fell on Freddy's teeth. Not our fault. I can't with him. Jesus Christ. You can observe so much about his character in this book, and I feel like that is amazing. I feel like Scott did such a great job supervising the characterization of Michael in this whole book, and I feel like his personality is poured in here, even in like the few lines of text that he writes. On page 101, he doodles, because the prompt was, pretend you're an architect and imagine the optimal layout for Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, draw it here. And in like the corner on top of where the page number for 101 is, he just draws what I assume, again, to be himself, locking up Freddy in a jail cell. And I must say, Mike, your fit is horrific. Your Sona's fit, bro has a bow tie and a tie. My guy, pick one. Anyway, he does write 8/11. He doesn't circle AM or PM for the incident report in page 108 for the final night. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but it looks lore important. And after that, the next page is just like, see you next week, and the book is over. I already stated all my opinions and all my assumptions so far from the first glance of the logbook. I hope you guys enjoyed me rambling about this. I'm pretty sure someone out there is like, I don't know, animating or like drawing to like this absolute ramble of a video. And I appreciate you if you are. God, I just never thought I'd get this far. I don't really know what else to do. But yeah, thank you for listening this far. If you want more, I guess, subscribe or like or whatever. I don't mind. Right now I'm like, at most I probably have like 20 subscribers. So whoever sees this, if you really want to see more, I will upload more. You just gotta let me know. Like, at least tell me, like, hey, make more content on like the comment section, and I will do it. I will do anything with just the right amount of motivation. Like, if just one person comments it, I will do it. I might go over either the security breach files or the FNAF character encyclopedia. I also have, I just bought it today, the number 5 book of the Tales of the Pizzaplex, and I literally just bought it for the GGY story because in your face, MatPat. Yeah. Thank you for listening to this. and I know I said this for like the third time. I have ADHD. Like, please deal with me. But yeah, thank you, and come back. Mitch out.